Hi, welcome to Week 7 overview. For Week 7, we're going to be looking at monetization. So for this week, our learning outcomes for this module are to define the ways that magazine media generate revenue, apply bootstrapping to building your magazine media plan, calculate the revenues and expenses of your enterprise, as well as build a revenue strategy for your magazine media enterprise. So all businesses operate with this basic formula. Revenue minus expenses equals income. However, if revenues are less than expenses, then instead of income, you have a loss. So you'll be looking at this formula a lot throughout the rest of the term as you develop your revenue and expense. So from our reading of the magazine media history, we know that up until about 2008, consumer magazines relied extensively on advertising revenue. Then, in 2008 and onwards, more options for advertisers were available. They could use Google Ads, they could then use social media to reach their consumer directly. So magazine media ended up starting to fail because that advertising strategy, which took up about 80% of their revenue, began to decline. So in order to survive, magazines had to learn how to diversify their revenue sources. John Wilpers with Innovation Media, a research organization that looks at media enterprises, magazine media enterprises, talked about 14 strategies that media enterprises use in order to generate revenue. We're not going to look at all 14, just the ones that would apply to startup enterprise like ours. So paid content, memberships, fundraising, merch, events, ad sales, still some ad sales, but not 80% of our revenue coming from that, as well as grants and in-kind revenue. Throughout the rest of this module, I'm going to dig deeper into these strategies. But for our purposes, we know that we need about 4 of these strategies in order to create enough revenue for our enterprise. Another decision that you're going to be making with your plan is it going to be for profit or not for profit? As you think about this question, you want to consider what your mission and values are. Are you a social enterprise or a literary or art enterprise? Would people invest money in hopes of a profit, or would they invest their time and money in order to help you achieve your mission? So who are you serving? These are all questions that will go into deciding on whether or not your enterprise will be a for-profit or not-for-profit enterprise. Regardless, you'll still be using those minimum of 4 revenue strategies in order to make that formula, revenue minus expenses, equal income instead of a loss. In not-for-profit environments, we don't have income or profit sharing. Instead, we would call that a surplus, and that would be put back into the organization to offset costs for the next year. I look forward to seeing you in tutorials. I know that this will probably be the newest experience unless you come from a business background, and there are lots of materials to support this, and I look forward to seeing you in tutorial. Thank you.